Greetings, my name is Monty Martin.
And I'm Kelly McLaughlin.
And we are the Dungeon Dudes. Welcome to our channel where we cover everything D&D, including advice for players and guides for DMs.
We upload new videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and ring that bell so that you never miss an episode.
There are so many different styles of Dungeon Master out there. You might even say that there's several classic archetypes that you might expect to see running games of Dungeons & Dragons. And so today we're having a little bit of fun and asking, what class is your Dungeon Master and how do you tell?
Previously, we've looked at the alignment of your Dungeon Master, which you can check that video out right up over there. But now we want to dig into whether your evil or lawful or chaotic or good DMs are an Artificer, a Barbarian, a Bard, or a Cleric, or any of the other classes available. Each class brings its own personality to the table, just like each Dungeon Master brings their own personality to the table. And with so many different ways to run your games, now it's time to find out whether your DM is a rogue, ranger, bard, or something else.
And you could be anything in between. This is a fun thought experiment, so consider the fact that your Dungeon Master or you as a Dungeon Master might be multi-classed. Let's dive into it and let us know in the comments below what class you think you are or what class you think your Dungeon Master is based on this.
There's a lot to discuss today, so let's get rolling.
The Artificer Dungeon Master.
So the Artificer is the master of gadgets and accessories, and they're decking themselves out.
Yeah.
And so they're decking their table out as well. They're the ones who have all of the props. They probably have the best terrain. They probably have the smoke machines.
This is the Dungeon Master that got a 3D printer so they could make miniatures. Or maybe they do all like the foam crafting as well. Like they're building all the things that are on their table that are decorating everything.
This is the Dungeon Master who not only has a light show but has a projector hanging above their table with like all of the flowing water.
If you got the DM that like they built their table.
Yeah.
Right? They built their own table that has the LCD screen inside it, that has all the power plugs for all the players on it. Maybe even they've gone as far as they've built like a whole website for their campaign. If they're running on a virtual tabletop, I guarantee you they're using Foundry. And they're probably the type of Dungeon Master that like they've written their own Foundry module and like you log on to the Foundry website and like every single option has been programmed in for you. They're using all the add-ons you could possibly think of. Every module is available. So whether they're in person or online.
They have all the lighting and weather effects going on.
Yes, yeah.
So, okay, the Artificer is that brilliant inventor, and they're going to bring a lot to the table physically.
Yeah.
As we move on to the Barbarian. So the Barbarian Dungeon Master. Well, when I was starting out as a Dungeon Master, combat was the most important thing.
Yeah.
It was just throwing monsters at my party and really kind of just doing my best. But another element of the Barbarian is I think that they're throwing the biggest, baddest monsters.
Yes, they want to see the big slugfest. I think, you know how the Barbarian kind of likes to beat their chest and be like, how tough are you? I feel the Barbarian DM is like, players, how tough are you? Like, can you survive the gauntlet that I'm going to throw down?
The Barbarian DM doesn't want to use cultists. They want to use, like, an owl bear against your party
ogres,
at early levels.
Dragons,
ogres, giants, dragons. Yeah. They're throwing the big monsters. They always want you to have that epic fight. But also, the Barbarian DM is kind of upset, maybe even a little rageful when their monsters get killed.
I think they also might be a little disorganized.
Probably. Barbarians, a little bit of a mess. A little reckless. Would you say?
A little reckless, and I think the Barbarian DM, maybe they often break things. Yeah. As in, they don't necessarily care about the rules that much. They just want everyone to be laughing and having a good time and telling that epic story of heroics. I think the Barbarian DM also likes to make sure that lots of beer is available at the table, right? So, you know, they're definitely going to be chugging one back as they're playing. I think they're a lot of fun to play with.
Probably. And like a great like starting campaign can be with a barbarian. And honestly, as a learning DM, there's a good chance you start as a barbarian.
Things might get a little bit chaotic with the Barbarian DM. But that can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we move on to the bard, obviously with the bard, we have an actor.
We have a performer.
We have a performer. And I
Yes.
think this is where you're going to get your dramatic story.
Yes.
This is the story campaign. The Bard DM is pulling all the stops to tug on the emotions of the party, pull the strings of the character backstories.
And then they themselves put so much work into crafting their NPCs. They do all the voices. And I think this DM is also the one that has made the immaculate, perfectly curated playlist that is the background music for their campaign as well. So they have everything tuned. They might even have their iPad beside them with the playlist.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they're adjusting the sounds. Maybe they have something like Sirenscape and they're doing all the sound effects as well at the same time. They love the music. They love the atmosphere. They love the performance. And speaking of loving love, I think the Bard DM likes the romance plotlines.
They're probably throwing in a few NPCs to romance the party. You got to throw in those like lovable characters, but they want them to be like lovable in a true
Yes.
love way. Like I won't lie, I've done it in a few campaigns where it's fun to throw a love interest in, and then you put them in peril.
Yep.
That ups the drama. So the very dramatic DM.
Yes, they love drama, they love story, and they love to perform. The Cleric Dungeon Master, I think, is the wonderful host who takes care of their flock.
It's not that they, like, I don't want to say that they don't care about the game, because they do. But their first port of call is, do I have enough snacks and food for my guests?
They're going to cast Heroes Feast and
Heroes
make sure
Feast.
that everyone is fed. Game night for them is a gathering.
The Cleric DM is the one who welcomes you in. Welcome to my humble abode. Here is the delicious chicken dinner I've made.
Yeah.
Or like they've made something homemade, a stew or chili or pasta for everybody to enjoy. They have like the fridge stocked with beers. It's not a BYOB situation. They stock their
Whatever
fridge.
you need, they've got whatever drinks you want. I think they definitely want to hear from you what you like to have. I think that they also probably have a first aid kit with Advil or Tylenol or Tums, whatever anyone needs. They brought it there.
This is also the DM who very much straight away thinks of safety tools.
Yes, I think they really want to make sure that everyone at the table feels comfortable, they feel safe, they feel supported, so that everybody can have a really, really good time.
They might be the DM that fudges the dice in favor of the players.
But beware the wrath of the gods.
Yeah.
This is the DM that, like, don't cheat, don't mess around. They're going to be really, really gracious with you, but I feel like you don't want to get on their bad side.
Now, when we come to the Druid, the Druid first and foremost is the cat behind the DM screen.
Yep, just pets everywhere. The animals are ready. The animals have jumped up on the table. Campaign over.
They're that DM that's like laughing as the cat's like knocking the minis off, and they're like, "Oh, my cute cat," and everybody else is like, "My minis."
In all seriousness, though, I actually think the Druid DM is the world builder who treats the world like their well-tended garden. They have grown this world, and they can tell you the history and the bones behind it. They know the movement of the tectonic plates. They've researched the ecology, and they have really made a world that feels like a living, breathing place.
The Druid is the one who, if they are homebrewing their own world, will never get yelled at online for their rivers not making sense.
Yeah.
They understand the lay of the land. They have built they've built so much of the world that they're like, the campaign's taking place here, but I happen to have written the entire continent.
Yes, they know the lore of their entire world. I also think this DM also really likes reskinning. Wild shaping, shape-shifting, right?
Shape-shifting
Yeah.
rules to adapt and
Yeah.
have fun at the table.
And they might also be a very creative person that creates rules from scratch. They develop things, they grow things, they see how they change. You're going to feel with the Druid DM that you're playing a very organic game, that everything is flowing together.
I think that as we move from the Druid to the fighter is the tactician. And so from a DM standpoint, they are, unlike the Barbarian who's throwing the biggest, baddest monster at you, they are well crafting tactical combat encounters, possibly with environmental hazards, puzzles. They're developing pristinely precise combat.
The challenge is everything. They want a balanced combat challenge that they want to see the teamwork, they want to see the squad thinking, they want to see the players coming together, and they desperately want their group to convert to Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
So, yes, the fighter is so much into the tactical play that when they start hearing that Pathfinder is more streamlined and tactical
balanced,
play,
like they really like the balance. I think that tactical balance. They probably loved 4th edition for the same reasons, and yeah, they want the tactical combat. They want things balanced on that razor's edge. They want to see the teamwork happening.
Their goal is that one player goes down each combat, maybe not dies, but they want that like exact, precise knife's edge of, are we going to die? No, we just made it. On the other hand, the monk is all theater of the mind.
They are in the mind. The monk DM eschews all distractions, all material possessions. The monk dungeon master shows up for game night with a tube of dice and a pencil and a blank notepad, like sticky notes, maybe.
The funny thing about the monk, though, is unlike say a more improv-heavy DM, the monk isn't improving. They show up with like a point form few notes, but they've got it all up here.
Yeah, it's all here. They've done all the prep. They're almost kind of like in this meditative state. They don't need miniatures. They don't need terrain. They don't need anything else, but they are here to run the game just from being there.
And you would be surprised how stunning of a game they run.
Yeah, it will be a balanced game. It will have all elements in sync, right? And they will probably also roll with an open hand. They don't roll behind the screen. They don't fudge the dice. They don't have the rule books here. They never need to look up the rules.
And then they get smashed because they're a drunken master. As we move on to the Paladin, I think that above all else, the Paladin is the stickler for the rules.
And they will smite you if you break the rules.
Yeah, they don't like any shenanigans at the table.
Yeah.
They have all the rules memorized, like tenants.
Yeah.
To an oath that they have sworn to run your D&D game. And they don't want you messing around. If they think you're cheating at dice, you're out of their table.
Yeah. The Paladin DM is also the one that runs the game, not only rules as written, but rules as intended. Right? They are about making sure everything is going in the right place. And incidentally, they might like combat a lot. They like balanced encounters and everything. They like everything to be fair. But I think that the Paladin DM also really likes to see moral dilemmas.
I do think, yes, in the social aspect of the game, they're into, are you going to do the right thing? And what is the right thing?
They're going to ask you the hard moral questions. They're going to put you in those situations where doing the right thing asks your characters to make sacrifices in some way. They love those stories where you're going against the dark forces and you have to be the hero.
The Paladin's the one who's going to put you in that pull the lever on the train tracks scenario. Do you pull the lever to kill one person, or do you let it keep going and kill multiple people?
They love that stuff.
When we come to the Ranger, there's a few things that I think the Ranger is going to be doing as a DM. Number one, lots of maps. You're going to have lots of maps on the table. Maps of everything.
Yes, this person loves dungeon draft. They love making maps. Maybe they even draw the maps themselves. And most of all, they love exploration hex crawl campaigns.
Your campaign is a hex crawl. Every hex has a map ready for it. And they're prepared. They're probably also prepared if you have a Ranger DM. They're making you forage for food. They're making you track all of your encumbrance, your ammunition.
Yeah.
You're tracking everything.
Oh, yeah. The Ranger DM. And they'll track it too. So they'll know if there's a discrepancy.
Be ready to have levels of exhaustion with the Ranger DM, because they're the one who's like, you're going into a harsh winter environment. Are you dressed properly? You didn't buy winter ready clothes? Well, that's going to cost you. They're that kind of DM. I actually like that sometimes in my games.
They're going to run an amazing exploration campaign, because they're going to have all the details in their mind, and they're going to make sure that you as the players are playing along with that too. And that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, when we think of the rogue, they're almost the exact opposite. The rogue is willing to bend or break the rules as needed.
Oh, yeah. The rogue DM has a screen this high. You will never see their dice rolls. They are definitely fudging all the dice behind that screen for you.
They might crit you because they want to.
They're going to be sneaky, but what's fun with having a rogue DM is that they are full of surprises, and there's going to be twists, traps, and challenges, and you are going to feel at the end like you have survived a harrowing experience, but they kind of were like, they're still cheering you on.
I do think that the rogue loves secret passages, locked doors, puzzles, and ways to like play with the minds of the players.
Yes.
And expect every NPC that you think you like to actually stab you in the back.
Yeah.
The rogue, I don't want to say they're an evil DM. I do want to say that this is actually a very fun DM and probably runs a very twisty and turny narrative campaign.
A very unpredictable and exciting campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sorcerer has the natural ability in them to improvise.
Yes. The sorcerer is coming in. They don't need any books. They don't need any notes. But they're going to improvise an amazing campaign, because I think the sorcerer DM, just like sorcerers in D&D, they know a couple spells, and the sorcerer DM, like a good improviser, they know what the key beats are, and they know how to build off of those things.
And like a sorcerer, they can manipulate those beats
Yes.
using meta. And the sorcerer might make some meta jokes along the way.
It's going to get meta with a sorcerer DM. Yeah.
Now, unlike the monk, I think the monk and the sorcerer show up looking the same. The sorcerer shows up with their notepad with a few scrawled notes, and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. They have nothing up here, though. They're just like, I'm ready because I'm going to just see where it goes, and we're going to roll with it. Because sorcerers are often just rolling with it.
Yeah. It's going to be a blast, though, maybe literally, because there's going to be fireballs, there's going to be explosions.
They're the most likely to blow things up.
Yeah, you're going to have a ton of fun with the sorcerer DM.
Now, if we're looking at the warlock DM, this is where you're running the horror campaign.
Yeah, the Warlock DM might be a little creepy, but in a good way, right? Like, if you imagine that guy that the Warlock DM wants to be playing Vampire the Masquerade or Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, they're gonna have they're not gonna tell you what monsters you're fighting. They're gonna describe them in grotesque detail.
Yes.
They're going to set the scenes with a lot of words. Your campaign probably involves a cult.
There might be mood lighting as well. The Warlock DM might have lowered the lights, lit some candles, maybe there's some incense. At one point you might be like, are we actually summoning a demon?
You're not sure.
You don't know. Incidentally, I think the Warlock DM also really likes using third-party content.
Yes, they're taking their knowledge from another source, obviously. As we come to the wizard DM, this is the person who's walking through the door with a thick binder of notes.
The wizard DM has brought every book with them, and they own all the books.
Yes, they own all the books, and they might be running a module out of one of those books, but they might also be scrapbooking a bunch of their favorite pieces of modules together.
Yes.
Which is what their binder is holding, is all the glue that's going to tie them together and let them weave their masterpiece.
One of the problems with the wizard DM, though, is that they haven't memorized absolutely everything, so they do have to spend a lot of time looking up things in the book. So you're going to see a lot of page turning.
Before each game, they have to prepare what they're planning for that game. And if you go off what they've planned, they have to reassess.
Exactly. They've planned a lot of things, but if things aren't going according to plan, it's going to be a little stressful for them.
Fault of the wizard, they might be that DM who plans not necessarily to railroad, but they're like, tonight I think they're going to go into the woods and fight the owl bears.
And they're going to do this,
Yes.
in this order, and this is how it's going to go, because that's what I have prepared.
And then when the party shows up and says, actually, we wanted to check out that creepy house on the hill, and the wizard DM is just like, I didn't prepare those spells today.
Yeah.
So that's the downfall of the wizard DM. But generally speaking, when you are playing into what they've prepared, it's going to go amazing.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. As long as you're staying within what they prepared, and as long as they prepared for everything. A high-level wizard DM might be prepared for almost anything.
Yeah.
And so it might feel like they're rivaling the sorcerer in what they can respond to. And I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic, but that's where you see the difference between what level are you, right? The high-level wizard DM might be prepared for everything. The low-level wizard DM is like, I just have these two things. And that's really hard when you're a beginner DM because you haven't prepared everything yet.
Now the question becomes, what are you? I think that everybody might be a multi-class. I think it's hard to say that you are one.
It is.
But
yeah.
let's say that you could have 2 to 4 of these as your multi-class.
I don't know. Okay, Kelly, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to say what I think you are.
Okay.
I think you are definitely a sorcerer. I think that you have a bunch of sorcerer levels, for sure. You have a barbarian level still there from when you first started out.
Yeah.
Right? Incidentally, I don't think you're a rogue.
No,
at all.
I think I might have some bard levels.
Yes.
Which, okay, it's funny that anytime somebody says, if you were a class in real life, what would you be? And my answer is usually sorcerer or bard.
Yeah.
So I do think that I'm a sorcerer, bard, barbarian. When I was a brand new DM, I was a barbarian wizard. I came with a binder of how I was going to run the campaign. But like the barbarian, I was all about combat, and I did get upset.
You know what? I think you tried to be a wizard at the beginning, and that didn't work for you.
No.
Right? And that's where I think why the sorcerer style works so well for you.
So sorcerer, bard, one level of barbarian.
Yeah.
Because I do like throwing big monsters at my like I love watching them fight the dragon. It's my favorite. For you, I want to say that I think you also have some bard.
I think I got some Artificer in me.
I think you have some Artificer. I also think you have quite a few levels of Druid. I think you love world building.
Yeah.
And you love the history and lore of your setting.
Yeah, I do think, though, that for myself, I'm very much a beg, borrow, and steal sort of thing. And that wizard style really speaks to me because I have cobbled together a lot of sources of inspiration in my world building.
I think you're the high level wizard, though. You're not the one.
Well, thank you.
If people go off course, you can quickly pull out the right book to assess the situation. Because I'm not going to lie, I go off your course all the time, and you're like, all right, we're adapting.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I think you have a lot of wizard, druid. I think that you do have a bit of bard, and I do think that you have the artificer. And really, I mean, that's a solid game.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate a lot of the different styles, though. Like, there's part of me that would love to just be the rogue DM. I still also do love the fighter tactical combat style of things. So it's hard to fit yourself into one box, but that's what multiclassing is for.
And again, this is a fun thought experiment. This isn't like a rigorous, your DM can only be one thing. A lot of us as DMs, actually through our session to session or campaign to campaign, or as we grow as a DM,
we retrain.
Yeah.
You retrain. You find out new skills, you find new styles that work for you, and I think everybody lands in the right place. And no matter what style of Dungeon Master you are, or don't be afraid to try out a different style for a little while. There's no one right way to run your game, and there's always going to be a different dynamic between you and your players. And so being willing to try out different things and develop and grow over time, I think, is always going to be the mark of having that strength, no matter what class you are as a DM.
And so what class do you think you are as a DM? Or if you're a player, what class is your Dungeon Master? Let us know in the comments below.
The videos that we create on our channel are made possible thanks to the incredible generosity of our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the work that we do here on YouTube, please consider joining our fantastic Patreon in the links below.
And if you want to see Monty running his version of what classes he is in D&D, you can check out our live play in the Worlds of Drakenheim, which airs Tuesday evenings on Twitch. You can check out all the previous episodes right up over here.
And we got tons of great advice for Dungeon Masters, no matter what class you are, right up over here.
Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and ring that bell so that you never miss an episode.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time
in the dungeon.